Hi, everyone. I'm Casey, and welcome to Parenting PDA Your Way. I'm a mom of two PDA kids and the founder of At Peace Parents. And once a week on Fridays, I coach a parent of a pathologically demand avoidant child or teen to help that parent make progress towards stability and peace in their home. In doing so, my goal is to support them and you to practice new skills and bring non judgment, compassion, and maybe a little humor to the trickiest of situations that we all face with our PDA children. Welcome to the mom that is joining us today, and let's get started. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm nervous, but it's okay.
Well, you're going to
Um,
do great, and there's no pressure. So it's just us.
yeah, I feel like I've heard you enough that it's not too awkward. So
Awesome. Where are you tuning in from, if you don't mind me asking?
we're in Franklin, Tennessee.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
How's the
We're
weather?
down south. It is unseasonably warm. It is 70 degrees
Ooh,
in
it
the
sounds
middle
like,
of November. It's very
yeah,
weird.
you're going to have
So,
a nice Thanksgiving. I love it.
oh yeah, yes, I
All
hope so.
right. Yeah. Okay, I have your question here and I'm happy to read it. Or if you want to state your question, we can do it that way too.
Okay. Well, I meant to first congratulate you on the publication of the research in the academic journal.
Oh,
Yay!
thank you. Yay. I'm so excited for all of us.
Yes, I'm very excited to share that with the doctors and um, well, we aren't in school right now, so not the teachers, but yeah, I'm so proud of you and so thankful. So
Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to say it real fast.
Thank you so much.
You can read the question.
Okay, awesome. I'd be happy to.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I have it here. And the question is, we are having difficulty distinguishing between possible equalizing behaviors versus puberty and testosterone. When our 14-year-old son insists on wrestling or whopping daddy after work every day. My husband has a health condition which causes him a lot of joint pain, but our son cannot understand this and wants this daily. We'd love to know what is going on and whether it's just hormones or equalizing. Okay, is there anything you'd like to add or provide more context on?
Um, I've sort of answered my question already, I think, but because I'm beginning to think that it's not an either or, that it's just maybe a both. But I'd love to hear any input because it's still very tricky and you know it's a matter of physiological, you know, and physical pain that
Mhm.
my husband is going through every day for at least, you know, 1 to 2 hours as soon as right when he gets home from work. No break, no shower. He's a chef and he's working in the kitchen. And so he likes to, you know, unwind and take a shower. But we're not able to do that currently. He's just having to go through this. And I feel like the referee, you know, in a way, I'm trying to be a buffer and trying to kind of mitigate the threat or, you know, the activation by setting a boundary, even though I realize boundaries are not really happening. But we're struggling to figure out, you know, because you're always accommodating or activating the two shitty choices.
Yeah.
But I feel like there has to be a way we can sort of gently, you know, come at this without, you know, tipping the scale, you know, into meltdown. And so we're just, my husband is a big teddy bear. He's a big guy. He's not like frail or anything, but like I said, he does have psoriatic arthritis, and it's really bad. So this is really, he's willing to do it. He's a great dad, and he's willing to go through it for for our son. But at the same time, I am just like, don't hurt daddy, don't hurt daddy. And he's our son is like, I'm not hurting daddy. Daddy's bones do not hurt. Daddy will
Mhm.
not go to the hospital. Or no, daddy does not need a shower. And so I just kind of uh, relinquished myself to the living room. This is all taking place in the bedroom where he mostly stays. So it's just hard. It's not the hardest thing that we deal with. It's just one of the things that's become a daily, kind of sticky time where we're, just trying to navigate not upsetting him and giving him, he needs some input. He needs socializing, and dad is his best friend right now. And so it's just so hard to figure out how can we do this without hurting his dad and without upsetting, Dylan is our son's name. I'm fine with saying that. Just how to get through this, or maybe how to make it not last as long. Um, we keep trying different things, and you know, I'm the one messing it up because I'm going in there and saying, okay, now daddy has to take a shower. You're being too rough, because it's very physical and very kind of aggressive, but there's a light-hearted nature to it. But at the same time, there's kicking. He wants to get on his shoulders and jump off onto the bed, squeeze his hands, and I can hear, oh, and I hear sounds. And so I think that upsets me. And so I feel like I have to go and, help, have to do something. So it's just,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, I think it's a little bit of both, but at the same time, we're just trying to figure out what can we do to make this, to lessen the impact on both of them, and
Yeah,
me.
of course. Okay. So intuit that there's a tiny bit of beating yourself up going on. Because you said, like, I'm the one messing it up. I'm doing something wrong. Okay. So a huge part for all of us, myself included, is experimentation and decision making, right? Which are two
Um,
things that most of us aren't trained to do as parents, right? It's
right,
like we're presented with, like, this is the way you should do it for parenting or teaching or your child learning to read. And if they're not doing it that way, there must be something wrong with the parent or the child, right? And then we also have this idea about boundaries or rules where it's just we tell the child what to do and then they comply. And if they don't, we're a bad parent, right? But part of what we're all learning to do as parents is to, first of all, see this as a process of trial and error and experimentation that we're really figuring it out with our kids as we make a paradigm shift. Okay. So, right now, you've collected the data that what's happening in your home isn't working for the family system on this
um,
particular front. Okay. So, we have some data. Doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It just means you were experimenting and you reached a sticking point,
yeah,
right? And then the second part of that is one of the hardest, and I think probably the hardest actually, things to do as a parent of a PDA child or teen is to make decisions around boundaries, which also relates to acceptance, right? Because Jennifer, viscerally and experientially that when you have set boundaries with your son, he has activated. And sometimes it probably hasn't been worth the cost to your family to set boundaries, right? So,
right,
what can happen is we get scared to set any boundaries because we are so afraid of activating their nervous system.
Yeah.
And I went through a period like that too. So, one thing we want to remember, I think there's like two skills we can bring to bear. But before we do, I want to pause and just hear if that what I said is landing with you.
Oh, yes. Most definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So, the two skills I want us to talk about, if it feels aligned to you, is the PDA, a little bit about the PDA lens and the accumulation of the nervous system. And then, if you're up for it, we can go through a cost benefit together about this particular scenario and we can get creative and brainstorm boundaries.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the first part with the PDA lens, I think a big part of the logic that especially people and professionals who don't live with a PDA child or a teen um, don't understand is how cumulative everything is, right? So, like every time his brain perceives threats to autonomy or equality, he has that nervous system activation and builds in his system, right? Like the water bottle.
Right.
And so, depending on where you are in your journey with him, it sounds like he's kind of close to his threshold.
Yes. We are toggling the line of almost emerging from burnout.
Okay, so you've made
Or
great.
a shutdown. He's almost there. And then puberty added, popped in at the worst time, of this journey because we've made such progress. And then this kind of started amping up. The hormones started amping up and it became hard to figure out, is he, a part of it, I think, was him coming out of a shutdown was he was very internalized.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then he started to be kind of showing and more externalized presentation. And it was weird to us because we hadn't seen that in almost 2 years. Just, quiet, not eating, not talking, not leaving the house. And now then he started to be curious and walking around. And then he started to get aggressive. Um, and he would just kind of look like a wild animal. And
Yeah.
so we figured this is puberty and we had to get some medicine because there was attacking going on.
Yeah.
We can't have that. We just, because he had pushed him to the floor a couple of times and we just can't have that. And we don't want those memories of everybody's, having a big fight and tearing up the house. So we had to get some medicine and that helped a little bit. But still, so I think that it was him was coming out and showing this externalized was part of the process. It was a good thing. Like now he's coming out of, inside, he's starting to be the way he used to be. But then it
Yeah.
started to get it was too much, it was too dangerous. So
Yeah.
we're kind of toggling the line of almost out of burnout, but all this behavior is either puberty or equalizing. And the reason I think that it might be equalizing is because he will, after we get him to stop and let dad have a rest, he says, can I sit on mommy's hutch? I have a hutch with vintage glass, lots of decorative things that I collect. And he
Mhm.
wants to sit on top of it. He wants to get up high,
Yeah.
anywhere up high, on top of the refrigerator, on top of the hutch. And so he's obviously wanting to get, higher than us. And we are aware, of that. So that's always like his last, kind of grabbing at straws, like, well, if I can't beat up on daddy, can I now get up on the hutch? And he knows the answer to that. I'm like, no, it will break. You're too big, blah, blah, blah. Um, and so that's what feels like equalizing, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but then I mean, they're laughing and playing, but it's real rough, and,
Yeah.
he doesn't try to do that with me. He waits for dad, and then it's just like pounce as soon as he
Yeah.
comes.
Okay. So
But anyway,
let's talk about a couple quick sort of tips for you to think about like remaining in the PDA lens. So
okay,
hormones are real, and when we're using the PDA lens, it sort of doesn't matter because we're suspending disbelief while we're experimenting that certain things are caused by hormones or manipulative behavior or goal oriented behavior.
okay,
And we're just seeing everything through the PDA lens because if
okay.
we try and distinguish of like, oh, this is hormone driven and this is PDA driven and respond differently,
Mm,
regardless, he's gonna still have his PDA response to the way we respond. So it's sort of like a
mm.
disciplinary thing where we just, at least where we're in this period of working through the PDA lens, we just sort of allow ourselves to just, regardless of what is causing the behavior, we're going to act as if it's always the PDA driving it because that's
Okay.
support you to stay sane, not trying to discern, and
Yeah.
two, allow you to be consistent in the way that you approach it. So
Okay.
this is how
That
does that?
makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, trying to tease it apart is just mind blowing, just it's a constant thing we've been doing. And okay, so that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
So just allow yourself to
Go,
rest
go,
your
go.
own nervous system and brain. The second part is, again, hormones are real, puberty is real, and that's going to make everything more intense, right?
Right.
But and you talked about this already, I'm just going to put labels that are more academic on what you're saying, which is like if he was internalized for most of his life or years, right? His nervous system pathway was more freeze or what's called dorsal vagal, which is like playing dead, like his
Yeah.
body's shutting down, right?
Yeah.
And that has a physiology to it of like slower heart rate, slower breathing rate, blood rushing away from extremities. Like it's a different
Right.
physiological state than mobilization, which is more of that fight flight, right?
Right.
So,
Okay.
according to polyvagal theory, our nervous systems are hierarchical, meaning that when the brain is deciding on a subconscious level which pathway to go down, if the child has been in dorsal vagal or shut down for a long time and we're trying to get them back to safe and social, they will have to move up through mobilization. So
Right.
a lot of times families with internalizers go through a period where things feel worse because
Yeah.
there's more verbalization, there's more calling you names, there's more criticizing your parenting, there's more aggression. Um, and so I heard you say, like, this is actually a good sign because we're seeing parts of him come back. Um,
Right.
but we're seeing a state that's like hybrid, right? It's like
Mhm.
mobilized, which, we can be safe in mobilization, in play, but we can also easily tip into the fight flight, which is why it's kind of precarious when he's
Yes.
roughhousing with your husband.
Yes.
So here's what I'd love to do. I'd love to just pop over into our cost benefit framework
Okay.
and think about just totally out of the box together all the things that are under your or your husband's control with respect to when your husband comes home from work. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just make sure that okay. All right. So the first thing we do is we talk about when we're working with a family about their specific decisions, which will be yours alone, Jennifer, and they might look different than what I would do with my family or any other family with a PDA child, because you have a unique family and a unique life and a unique son. So that's where the place where we address it in our skill is in the constraints. So constraints are things that you can't change in the moment you're making decisions. So, like, for example, he's not in school. That's a constraint for you right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Your husband works a physically taxing job, right? He's a chef?
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
okay. So he's already got stress on his body. So that's a constraint,
Yeah.
right? Do you have other children in the home, or is it just the three of you?
We have adult children who have moved away, so it's just us. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any constraints? So that might be, you're trying to do a part-time job, or you have your own chronic health issues or childhood trauma. You don't have to share that with me, but just like things that might make your experience constrained in the way that you respond to him.
Well,
Your own neurodivergence, sensitivity, anxiety.
I'm very neurospicy, as they say, with ADHD, and I think probably am on the spectrum also. And so just very sensitive myself.
Yep. Okay. Anything else that might be relevant to this conversation? Like something that might influence or constrain your decision in the moment when your husband comes home and your son wants to roughhouse?
I mean, I've just begun to realize, because I just started doing some, I heard that you were doing EMDR. So I started looking into that because I thought, I have a whole lot of stuff that I have really never dealt with, and that's probably a good idea. And I'd heard a little bit about it, but never entertained the idea. So I'm doing something called brain spotting. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
starting it's like a cousin of EMDR.
Yep.
So I've just started that a few weeks ago. And so I'm realizing, I think that I'm having maybe a trauma response to hearing, listening and hearing pain, or, and not being able to do anything about it, feeling helpless of I can't, stop the situation. And I don't want to stop it. I just want it to be less. But it just kind of triggers me. It makes me nervous. And, I'm the, I'm the one that tries to control all the stuff, so, I think that it's just making me, nervous. So that maybe past trauma is, being, kind of uncovered a little bit here.
Okay.
Maybe.
Awesome. I mean, not awesome that you have trauma, but awesome that you're doing this work and gaining self-awareness. So
Yes.
what we see is going to be influencing or constraining your decisions are things that are right now, right?
Right.
Neutral. He's not in school. Your husband works a physically taxing job. He has chronic pain and arthritis. We don't have other children in the home. You already, in terms of your nervous system and brain wiring, have a sensitive nervous system. You're neurospicy, ADHD, and potentially on the spectrum. And you're going to be even more sensitive to sensory
Yeah.
input or sort of evocative cues of the past because you're in the process of doing trauma processing, which both
Yeah.
sensitizes you and makes you aware of triggers you didn't even know you had. Fun
Right.
times.
And
Really fun.
menopause. And menopause. Don't forget menopause.
Let's put it in there. Let's put it in there. Absolutely. So, as we're thinking about boundaries, which is going to activate him because that's the nature of the PDA neuroception. We just want to have this front and center that, like, objectively, it's going to be harder for you. And that doesn't mean it's the wrong decision or that you're doing something wrong. Okay. And we can also talk about like how it feels for you and what we might do about that. Okay, so now we're going to get creative. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about just everything that's under you and your husband's control. Okay, so we're not going to focus on your son at all in terms of trying to change his behavior, because we already know that that often makes the unwanted behavior more likely to occur, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about the status quo, which is just what you guys are doing now. So it sounds like when your husband comes home, he goes right to roughhousing in his room with the 14-year-old. Is that
Yep.
okay? Dad goes right to 14-year-old's room after work to roughhouse. And how long do they usually roughhouse?
About 45 minutes to an hour. And he's trying to he's trying to stretch it out now, because it would be that amount of time. And then he would, finally let up and let my husband take a shower and let us get dinner and, kind of do our nighttime routine. But now it's kind of, he's trying to prevent us from doing that. So we might not get to dinner until 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So he's increasingly not wanting it to end, but he goes right in there, and it's luckily, hopefully it'll be 45 minutes, or at the most an hour, but it's starting to increase.
So what do you do? What is your behavior, or what is it that you're
I,
doing during this time period?
I'm watching TV in the living room, trying to not let it, trying not to interfere, because that's his daddy time. And they, you know, my husband doesn't love that he's getting the crap beat out of him, sort of, but he loves to be with him, and he gladly goes. It's a sacrifice that I watch him make, and it's just, I'm amazed, and I'm so thankful that he is not grumpy about it, and hey, and he's just real, happy to see him. And I'm just waiting and kind of listening. I guess I'm being hyper vigilant,
Mhm.
making sure that making sure that he's not getting too hurt. And if I hear sounds like it, like something really happened, then I go back there. I'm like, hey, we got to be careful. Daddy's bones hurt, and we got to let Daddy take a break for just a minute. And that's usually met with, no, just play with me, just get me, Daddy, just get me. Don't No, Daddy, don't take a break, or don't take a shower. And so we just kind of, very light, calmly try to um, coax him, away from the roughhousing for a minute, and that'll last a couple minutes, and then they'll start again, and then I go and sit back down in the living room. I'm just kind of
Yep. Toddler.
waiting and making sure we don't have to, go to the hospital or anything. I mean, that's sounds like an exaggeration, but his dad has been in the hospital a lot for different things, and I know I probably shouldn't say that, but he doesn't like to go to the hospital. Dylan, our son, does not like to have to go see Daddy at the hospital. So I say, we don't want Daddy to have to go to the hospital, so we got to be careful with Daddy.
Yeah.
And and I
So
say that.
let's pause right there. Okay, so that's what you're doing, right? This is
Yep.
just a choice. It's a choice,
Okay.
right?
Right.
It's one choice. It's not the wrong choice. It's not the right choice. It's just a choice.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're going to explore other possibilities. And we're not going to worry too much at this point. When we choose which two options we're going to compare, then we're going to evaluate, like, is this even possible? But right now, we're just going to
Okay.
write out all potential actions that you or your husband could take.
Okay.
Okay. So one possibility would be the exact same thing. I don't know why I'm not able to. The exact same thing, except you are going to leave the house or walk to a place where you can't hear. Mom goes out of earshot or to the store, takes a walk outside, calls a friend. If she has to stay in the house, she puts on earbuds. Okay, that's just one possibility.
Okay.
Okay. That would be changing more of your behavior rather than dad's.
Right.
Now let's talk about dad goes right to shower, then takes 20 minutes, then goes to play for 45 minutes, and mom leaves the house.
Okay.
4. Dad goes right to 14-year-old room and only plays for 20 minutes and uses a pillow to deflect direct roughhousing. Mom either stays in home, continues to be hypervigilant, or leaves the house. So there's plenty of variations that we can do. Dad doesn't go to his room to roughhouse, but rather stays out of his room. And if son comes out of room, he either uses pillows to deflect, or he leaves the house or locks himself in a bathroom. We're just exploring everything.
I'm sleepy.
Maybe we're just pausing because we have company. All good. All good. Okay, dad stops.
I got a phone.
Okay, Jennifer, do you feel like we can chat about this or not right now? Not right this second.
Maybe take a brief pause as he has come out and
Yeah. Why don't I just pop on over to the method so I can talk about the method rather than the details for those
okay.
of us who are here together. Okay, so
Yes.
basically what we're doing here is one of the places that we get stuck at as parents, and I think it's because we've been conditioned to think that good parents just tell their kids what to do and then their kids do it, or we establish rules and through incentives and disincentives, no matter how gentle, eventually our children will comply, right? But what's unique about our experience is that we actually can't do that with our kids.
Yeah.
And so we're switching the logic to be, where is my agency, right? even if it's really small, right? Even if it's the agency is like, I'm going to take a walk outside for 45 minutes. And then we write out everything that's possibly under our decision-making power, which, sometimes when we write out all the possibilities, some of them seem extreme or crazy or like we'd never do it. Other times it's like we've never thought about that as an option, right? Because of judgment or
Right.
conditioning, or even thinking I'm not allowed to do that because I know my child will activate. Okay.
Right.
So then we pick the two that intuitively the parent is like, let's compare these two. I never thought about it. Or these are the best of bad options. I'm going to pick these two. And then we head over to the cost benefit method and we compare the impact on the nervous system of everyone in the family. So that would be the child, the mom, the dad. If there are siblings in the household, they are involved too. And then we either make a decision or return to the constraints. And what this does is often we're confronting things that we've been avoiding by going through this process. And it facilitates acceptance of the trade-offs that are present in our lives as parents. And it actually encourages an energetic shift behind the tactics of what we're doing day to day, which signals safety to our kids. So if that feels like something you want to keep going with, we can absolutely do it. Now, is it okay if I read these, or is now not a good time?
Let me see. Let me just see if I can get him something to drink and get him back to his destination.
No problem.
Okay.
This is very, very common when we're coaching, when we're in programs, in lives. This is the life that we all lead, so it's not a big deal. But if you're here as parents, we're just walking through the cost-benefit decision-making, which facilitates acceptance. You're back. You're back. Awesome. All right. So can I read these? Do you feel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'll be okay.
So I've written down 7 possibilities. There's probably more, and maybe going through this exercise has allowed you to think of more that I didn't talk about. So are any of these feeling appealing?
Yes. Going to the store, because we usually always have to go get something from the store. We live like literally 2 minutes, so we're always going to the grocery store and grabbing stuff. So that's definitely something that I could do that would be helpful and for practical purposes and for nervous system purposes. I can go to the store instead of waiting. Yeah.
So we would be holding constant dad's behavior. It would be you deciding to leave the house and go to the store during that time period.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we've got one option. Are any of the other ones, like dad goes right to the shower, he takes 20 minutes to come down from work, and then he goes to play for 45 minutes, and then mom goes to the store? Or reducing the time. And I know that like he's going to try and keep doing it, right?
Right.
But it's
Yes.
what you do in response. So like removing yourself is potentially what needs to happen if that's the decision you want to go with, right?
Yeah. We definitely can try go ahead and do the shower. Yeah, he tends to just go right in there because he knows that he's wanted in there, and he really wants to give, him as much attention as possible. But maybe going into the shower first will be a good option. I mean, we can definitely try that and see what happens.
So I am not attached to any of these. I'm coming at it totally neutrally and just trying to
Right,
facilitate what feels like in your body is like, ooh, that
right,
could be an idea. So, we could compare number 2 with the status quo. We could compare number 2 and number 3. We could compare something completely different. So I just want to check in with you to make sure that I'm not guiding you towards one that you think is right.
Oh, no, no. I'm just surprised that we didn't, try these before.
Well, it's
We
easy
just
to fall into like, I think what
Mhm.
parents go through is, like, they're steeped in the paradigm of traditional parenting, at least this is me, and then they learn about PDA, and it's like, "Well, I can never activate their nervous system because it's a nervous system disability," and then we
Right,
realize,
yeah,
well, we have to live, we have to make this
yeah,
sustainable for a
right,
family. And then it becomes, which is what you're doing now, working through the discomfort of sometimes activating the PDA child even while there's a baseline of accommodations. And that
right,
is like the next phase. It's like where you are right now, right? As he's
yeah,
coming up a little in burnout. So it sounds like intuitively 2 and 3 might be what you wanna, experiment with as a comparison. Does that sound right?
yes. Will
Okay.
you send me these in it?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I can't see too well. I need some glasses or something, and I'm stubborn and I haven't gotten any glasses yet, so I can't really read it. So I'm just relying on my memory of what you said. But it'd be great if I could actually look at it
Yes,
and refer to these
absolutely.
later.
We will send it
Okay,
to you after this, and it will be part
okay,
of the replay, but yes, we will
okay,
send it to you, and I'm gonna read it out because
okay,
also for people listening on a podcast.
okay.
Uh, okay, I'm just putting these in our cost benefit framework. Okay. Okay, so here are our options that we're comparing,
Okay.
Jennifer. So the first option is dad goes right he continues to go directly to your child's room after work to roughhouse for approximately 45 minutes to an hour, and you remove yourself by going to the store so that you're not getting the sensory input and hypervigilance of hearing everything going on.
Okay.
The other option is the same thing, except we're delaying dad going into the room by 20 minutes so he can shower and sort of ground or regulate himself before he jumps into roughhousing.
Right.
Okay? So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna first talk about option 1 and the cost to your child's nervous system and benefit, the cost to you and the benefit to your nervous system, and the cost and benefit to your husband.
Okay.
So dad goes right to his room after work to roughhouse for 45 minutes to an hour, and you go to the store. What do you believe will be the cost to your PDA's nervous system? And we wanna think in terms of no cost, low cost, medium cost, or high cost.
I think no cost for that.
Great. Oops, I just put my own name. No, Casey. What about the benefit to his nervous system?
It will be a great benefit because mom is no longer intruding. And I often get, Go away, mom. Shut the door. Go away, mom. So he will love if I'm not there. It's free reign.
Now, what about the cost to your nervous system of leaving for 45 minutes while this is happening? Is it no cost, low cost, medium cost, high cost?
Slow off, slow
It-
off, because,
I will be a probably medium cost because I will be worried a little bit. I'll be worried about what is, I'm not there to intervene and all the what ifs. And, um, but after all, my husband can take care of himself. And so I don't know why I'm so intent on being the referee. It's just, I'm just protective. So I'll be a little bit nervous about what's happening, what if, but getting a break, actually just leaving the house and going somewhere always makes me feel better. I usually like to go for a walk, but I don't get to do that a lot right now. But if I do go for a little walk around the neighborhood or just go to the store and look at things, then that's great for me because it's a break. So
Yeah.
although I'll be slightly worried, maybe I can just try to remember that he's a grown up and he can, take care of himself. And I'm not, I don't have to be the barrier. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but yeah, I think it would be very helpful to me. And
Great.
practical because I can get whatever we forgot for dinner and just maybe look at holiday stuff and be,
Regulate
um,
that nervous system. Look at holiday.
yeah,
I love it. Okay. Would you say then that it's a high benefit to your nervous system?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, what about your husband? What kind of cost is it to continue with this plan, but with you leaving?
Um, I he would probably love that idea because he doesn't want me to be upset, and he also doesn't want him to feel threatened by my intrusions. Um, I'm, he would probably it would probably work better if I left.
Okay.
Um,
So we're not quite yeah, so we're noticing. Um, but if we could just hone in on like the cost and benefit to your husband's nervous system of doing option 1. So like there might still be a cost because he's still doing the roughhousing, but there might be an even higher benefit or a equal benefit if he isn't also worried about you coming in. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just giving an
oh, I know.
example.
No, you're right because I think that now I realize that me coming in there, although I think I'm being helpful, is, adding to his, anxiety because then he has to make sure he's not upsetting either one of us. So yeah, wow. I wasn't thinking, about what his nervous system was doing. Um, so I definitely am seeing a light at the end of the tunnel here.
Yeah,
If
this
I
is
could
why
just,
you're doing it. This is why it's I mean, I have to do this same method with myself. So it's not, when
yeah,
we're in it and our emotions are high and we're traumatized and
yeah.
like,
And I'm
you know,
trying to control everything,
we're in the
right?
so it's hard to see clearly through that fog, and that's why we're doing
Yeah.
this together.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I'm saving him, and really, I may be just adding to his nervous system cost, by interrupting. Because I feel like he's just gonna let him do whatever, and he's not gonna stop him. But that's probably not true. So
yeah.
yeah, Okay. Wow. Just didn't occur to me until you said that. So, it's looking like a very good option for me and for
Awesome.
him,
Well, in
for
both
every,
options
for
both
actually for
options, you're
everybody.
leaving the house. So that's good. Um, but let's try and, if you wouldn't mind, just putting a little bit more formality to our thinking. So, is there still a cost to your husband's nervous system of option 1 of him going to the 14-year-old's room right after work to roughhouse for 45 minutes to an hour, but with mom going to the store? Is there
There-
a
There's still
cost?
a cost. There's still, I know there's well, there definitely has to be a cost because, he's a very, he's a perfectionist and he's got work on his mind. So he's already been, probably stressed out at work and putting out fires at work. So it's bound to be, I know it's not easy for him, but
Yeah.
he also claims to enjoy, being able to be the one to do the ref housing, even though
Yeah,
it's hurt.
there's a benefit.
He's still
Connection.
so, and I know he loves that connection. So I'm sure there's a small cost because he probably wants to relax first and he's not able to. But all in all, that seems it's looking like a good option,
Okay.
nonetheless.
So I've put low cost to dad. Is there a medium benefit to this for him or a
I
high
think so.
benefit to medium?
At least medium, maybe high.
Okay, why
Um,
don't we put medium to high? How
yeah.
does that sound?
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so now we're going over to our second option, and we're going to do the same thing with our second option, and then I'm going to help us compare and see what our two possibilities are. Okay, and then we'll pick one to experiment with.
Okay.
Okay, if you want, or you can just be done and process on your own time. There's no agenda. Um, okay, so option 2 is the same plan. Dad does play for 45 minutes to an hour. Mom leaves the house while that's happening to go to the store or a walk. However, dad takes 20 minutes to himself to shower or regulate before he goes and does that. So that's the difference. So, what would be the cost to your son's nervous system of that option?
Mm, medium to high cost because he's literally been waiting all day.
Mhm.
Um, because he doesn't have friends right now, so he's not getting, and he's full of testosterone, I'm guessing, and he's, he doesn't have an outlet right now. We haven't gotten to where we can meet up with friends again. Um,
Yeah,
so I know he's waiting, so it's kind of a high cost because that just makes him wait. I don't know how upset he would get waiting. He doesn't he just waits kind of quietly. He's not like um yelling or I will often tell him daddy's home, so I'm the one, if I didn't say that and dad could just go shower for a few minutes if I didn't, alert him. But I'm so excited for him to see his dad, but and to let him know the wait is over, but maybe we could push it back a little, and I could not do that.
yeah,
And
so we could
yeah,
say, dad goes right to the shower. It could even be 10 minutes.
yeah, it's not, and it's never really, he doesn't take long showers, but I bet you it would really, he could feel a little bit better, um, physically if he was able to do that and maybe be a little more prepared, just feeling clean and just, a little bit of a pause. So,
Great. I love
yeah,
it. So
yeah.
I've adjusted our option 2 to include 2 differences,
Okay.
which is maybe just we start with just 10 minutes, and mom's behavioral change is not alerting your son to when he comes home. So what would be the cost to your son's nervous system of that? What do you think?
I mean, there may be a slight cost because he's very attuned to what's going on, and he probably already knows when dad is home, without me telling him. I
Yeah,
can't believe I'm the one saying it. This is just
it's
so.
okay. It's okay. We're just making it explicit and looking at it.
There's going to be a slight cost because the weight, but then if I then leave and they have this time to themselves, however rough it is, without interruption, maybe it would be worth the cost.
Yeah, we're gonna address the comparison. All we have to do now is just the only thing I want you to think about right now is just with this option, is it for this particular question is it a benefit to your PDA's nervous system? And if so, is it no benefit, low benefit, medium benefit, or high benefit of the second scenario that we talked
Right.
about? Still gonna get
Maybe.
us 45 minutes to an hour. There's just a 10-minute
Right.
wait without you alerting him.
So the benefit would, I guess, maybe a low benefit. No, maybe medium benefit.
Medium benefit? Great.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, your nervous system, like, how is it going to impact your nervous system, this difference? Okay. So, you're not going to say anything for the first 10 minutes. You're going to perceive or neurocept that your son is waiting, which can feel anxiety provoking. And then you're going to leave for 45 minutes to go do something outside of the home. Now, what is the cost to your nervous system?
It's a low cost, but a medium benefit because I will be happy that he got to take a shower and have
Yeah.
and have a small break. So that will comfort me. I think that will help me, and that will definitely help him. But for me, it'll be a medium benefit. Or yeah, I'm getting
Now,
confused.
all good, all good. So my only question is, so for the first option without the shower, you said it was a medium cost to your nervous system. So logically, I thought there would be a slightly higher cost because she's also going to have to wait for 10 minutes.
No,
So
I'm fine with the waiting. I
okay.
think.
So you think it's low. And then you said the benefit to your nervous system of the first option, which is you just immediately leaving the house, is high. So would you say that the 10-minute wait and knowing that your husband got a shower is still a medium, or would you say something different?
No, I think that's a high benefit now. Yeah, it's a high benefit for me, I think.
Cool. Now, dad, cost to parent, cost to your dad's nervous system of option 2. So he gets to shower, don't alert him, and then he does the same amount of play.
So we're looking at cost to nervous system
Of dad.
That's no cost.
Okay, now benefit.
And that's a high benefit.
Great. Okay, we went through the cost benefit, the first part of the method. Now what I'm going to do is just compare the cost benefit for each option and then read them back to you so we can hear and see clearly.
Okay.
Okay, so option 1, dad goes right to 14-year-old's room after work to roughhouse, 45 minutes to an hour. Mom goes to the store. That is a net benefit to the PDA's nervous system, which means more benefit than cost. It is a net benefit to mom's nervous system, and it is a net benefit to dad. Okay, so first option's looking pretty good. Now, second option is the 10-minute shower. We see a net benefit to the PDA, a net benefit to your nervous system, and a net benefit to dad. So this is kind of unusual in this method because what we're seeing instead of two shitty options is two pretty cool options that
Right.
look a little bit better than what we were doing. So I think the next step here is just deciding if and when you would like to start experimenting with one of these alternative options for boundaries, right? And so your boundary is like sort of internal boundary.
Right.
And then dad's
I like
slight
the
boundary, if you choose
Mommy.
option 2, is 10-minute shower.
I think we should go with number 2. We should try that out.
Awesome. Okay,
That's
very good.
sounding like that just sounds amazing to me right now that we haven't come up with that, but that's what you're for.
No, I mean the method, we were just here walking
Wanna
through the
have some chips, Mommy?
Yes,
method.
you can have some chips, of course. If you bring me the bag, I will open it.
No problem.
Can you bring me your plate, or do you want to eat out of this bag?
Yeah, I'll just come.
Okay. There you go, fella. Okay.
All right. So, well, I'm excited. We
Me
would love to
too.
hear how it goes. So the next step is again experimentation, right? You're going to try it out, collect data on how it feels in your body for your husband, see if what we outlined here, and we'll send it to you, is actually what plays out, right?
Right.
Because sometimes we do something and we don't realize they're going to have, a certain response.
Right.
But we're giving ourselves permission to try something different with boundaries and see how it goes. So congratulations, you did awesome.
Thank you so much, Casey. I am very excited to try this, and things have just been so cloudy, and it's just been such anxiety. But now I feel like there is some better options here, and we'll see which one works,
Yeah, very
and I will
cool.
let you know.
Well, thank you for being vulnerable and being here with us. You're doing great work. Your son's so lucky to have you both.
Thank you so much, and congratulations again on your publication. And I can't wait I haven't read it, but I'm going to go read it here in a little while. So I'm excited to read it. And thank you for all your work and having gone through that for our benefit. We reap the benefit of all the hell that you kind of had to go through, but it's so appreciated.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate you too. It was so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks.
All right. Bye, Jennifer.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, thanks for being here. It was super fun to hang out with another mom and go through some decision making around boundaries. So I hope it was helpful to all of you and that you have a good weekend. Bye, everyone.